Welcome to Objections with Stan Willis. Beside me is the star of stage and screen, Stan Willis. Stan, how are you?
I am just delightful.
No, you're not delightful, but how do you feel?
I'm totally delightful. In fact, I have a bio that says that I'm delightful.
Where's this, in a bus station?
No, I'm writing it currently.
Oh, okay. We should make covers for all the books of when Stan says he's a certain thing. Stan Willis, delightful.
That's what it's going to say in my book, yeah.
How many pages is this book? 2?
So far, it's 4.
Dedicated to Mike and Nate.
I've got 4 pages written.
Wait, how many words? Is it a Where's Waldo, where it's like just find Waldo and his pictures?
No. Wait. It's much more like Dr. Seuss.
It's just a bunch of limericks.
Yeah, no, it's just you know that Dr. Seuss's goal was to write entire stories and books and use no words more than 5 letters long. That's why they are like that.
That's why they're intriguing?
That's why they're like that.
Why are you saying they're like that?
They're kids' books. That's why they're. He wanted to rhyme too, so that's the point. Yeah. So like Sam I Am, I think Sam I Am was the first one. I thought
you were going to say Sam I Am is 5 letters.
Sam I Am is Green Eggs and Ham, right?
I think that's 2 different books.
Isn't it?
Welcome to Literature 101. This is the show from now on.
I think they're the same book.
We should have a book club show where we just discuss the books. Not that we read them, but I saw it on someone's desk.
Oh, okay.
I will say I'm in the partner meeting because I'm a lawyer. Before you walked in there, they were discussing books. The lawyers were talking about books they read, and you could tell the people who hadn't touched the book they were supposed to read.
Oh, really?
It reminded me of college. Like, I got super way into it, and then I fell asleep reading, and it's like, tell me one thing you read in it. Anyway, let's start the meeting. I'm like, I know what this is. I also don't read books.
So you're saying Phil didn't read it?
Phil wasn't in there. I'm not going to say him or Kelly or the new guy.
Oh, so
what is that guy's name?
You're thinking Ashley didn't read it?
I'm not pointing a finger, but I am putting a target. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Ashley, if you're watching this, please read the goddamn book. So I want to ask your opinion of this because we always state this, we're not taking a side. But some sides look really dirty right now.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you have to take a side because...
I mean, politically. We're trying to be in the middle, but you're making it really hard for us to do so. The January 6th footage, have you seen it?
I saw the parts of it. So I saw the Chuck Schumer rant, which made me curious. So I went and watched the Tucker spot. Then I watched the Tucker response to the Chuck Schumer rant, and I'm just, it's a fairly unprecedented situation. I mean, it's video, right? It's unedited video
that they said was cherry picked,
right? So if it's unedited video, essentially what Schumer is saying is that we Americans are too effing stupid to watch a segment of video and make a determination of what's going on.
And I 100% agree with everything he said. He just doesn't want it shown.
We're too stupid. We're too stupid to watch that and decide for ourselves what's going on. So, as in New Zealand, the government now becomes the source of truth. Yeah. Right, that's what she said. That's what the
Jacinda Anderson.
What's the chancellor? Yeah, she said that.
Who stepped down?
She said during COVID, she said that the government will continue to be your sole source of truth.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
okay, that's wonderful.
Only in this day and age could I say this statement. I didn't see it on Tucker. I saw Joe Rogan watch Tucker with someone else in the room. That was, you could tell, was not a Trump person,
right?
Who wanted to blame it on Trump, but hadn't seen it. They're both watching the screen, and Joe's not saying anything. And this guy's like, well, obviously, look at these are Trump people. And then all of a sudden he goes, wait a minute, the cops are walking them around. They're guiding them. They're pulling them into the building.
Right. And this was an anti-Trumper, Democrat, hardcore left-wing guy.
Yes.
Because I saw the same clip that you're talking about.
Because he wanted to
on
say,
Joe Rogan.
Now, what I find funny is Democratic supporters will not support Biden. They just don't like Trump. It's different than when you had Obama and Mitt Romney or something, because there wasn't that much vitriol towards Mitt Romney.
Right. But what the thing is that all this January 6th stuff really has very little to do with Trump. This has to do with
the FBI, the CIA.
This has to do with really just flat out government corruption. And when was the last time that the leader of the majority party in the Senate
and the minority leader
and the minority white, when is the last time that they, from the Congress, from the building in the Capitol, went after an anchor on a news show?
I've never seen it, and I found this is what I love about it. Rachel Maddow. So there was a court case. I think we've talked about this. In court, they decided that Rachel Maddow and Tucker Carlson, or not Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, those are not news shows. They are classified as entertainment. So you can't sue them when they get something wrong.
Right.
No one, so you have the election denier thing, right? So Chuck Schumer comes out and says, we should not be questioning elections. When Trump won, he was posting that Russians hacked our election and this is a fraudulent election and they did that. Now when it's their guy, 81 million votes, bullshit, you have to believe in that. It's either all or it's nothing. But I found it odd that the Republican Party they're so pro Fox News. Well, now they're not pro Fox News because of Tucker?
Apparently.
So,
well, it's not them. It's just Mitch McConnell and his cronies. I mean, the newbies in the Republican Party are mostly in the House.
What do they call them? The Freedom Caucus? No,
that's
the Democratic side.
Yeah,
whatever it's called, I can't remember. But again, I don't watch Fox News. The last time I watched Fox News was during like the 9/11 era.
I don't watch any. I don't watch any mainstream news.
But just make this statement: all mainstream news is corporate captured, so it doesn't matter. They're being paid by Boeing, BlackRock, pharmaceutical companies, so they can't tell you what you need to know. Right. So if you're getting your news from there, that's wrong. What I find funny is they can be wrong over and over again, and they never have to apologize for it. So the worst thing that ever happened since the Civil War is January 6th. And then you see the shaman dude who everybody reported this guy was like a ringleader. He's walking around with Capitol cops. They are directing him and trying to open doors for him. When they show the footage of things that had been knocked down, you're seeing people pick them up and set them back in place. And it's like, were they causing a riot? Now, was there violence outside? Yes. Mm-hmm. But the cop who laid in state for whatever was a week, and they had that big thing about him being killed on the Capitol steps, they show him walking around for half an hour. The guy died of a heart attack the following day.
Right.
So I don't understand what is the point of all this? Seeing this 40,000 hours worth of footage, what is the point of this? What are we trying to get to?
It's hard to figure out what people are thinking. So you're always making an assumption about what other people are thinking, but it certainly feels like, I mean, you have, all you can do is take the information that you have, right? So this January 6th thing, where I look at this thing is, were people behaving inappropriately? Absolutely. Should those people have gone into the Capitol? No, they should not have gone into the Capitol. Should there be some form of punishment for that? A fine, couple days in jail, something like that. Okay, 4 years in jail for the shaman guy for walking around like he was walking around seems to me a little bit egregious. Right? That seems more like somebody trying to send a message than like actually trying to do justice in the situation, right? Especially, I mean, when you look at that, the video with him and the two police officers, he was not being perceived by those two people as a threat.
Right.
I mean, they were and as you said, at one point they were trying to open locked doors to let him see stuff. They were getting
selfies with the guy on their phone.
Right. I mean, so should he have been there? Probably not. Should he be punished? Probably. But what about the two cops that are leading him around? I mean, they know that he's breaking laws by what he's doing, right? So why are they not involved in this prosecution?
They didn't even get disciplined.
No, they didn't. No,
so the police chief in Washington,
the guy that shot the Babbitt woman didn't even get disciplined.
Right.
And there was he was under no threat. Nobody in the crowd had a weapon as far as he knew.
The worst part about that is when you see the footage of that, he's not aiming at her. He's aiming at anybody.
Right.
So he could have killed multiple people.
Right.
And that guy was looked at as a hero because he stopped people from what. Now, again, when people are rabid and they're angry like that, I don't understand it. Okay, so whether an election gets lost or won, it shouldn't matter. What I think has happened is you have two sections of the country right now. Well, I think you have three. I think you have the people that don't care,
right,
but still hate Trump. So they don't hate Republicans; they just hate Trump. I think you have it split in the middle, and the liberal side was allowed to demonstrate for Black Lives Matter and all those other things where they're torching. I forget what they were. Basically, all the like minority issues, and they're oppressing you and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you introduce the feds into this thing, you've got FBI people, CIA people. Right. They're in that crowd and they're signing, like the Ray Epps situation.
Right. And, I mean, that's all stuff that I guess we need to see what they really actually know and what investigation that was really actually done. You'd have to go look into all that to see what was going on. But just from the bigger picture, the January 6th thing, it seems to me, has been blown somewhat out of proportion. I mean, calling it an insurrection seems a little bit
unarmed people walking around the Capitol.
It's like somebody said if it was an insurrection, it was the worst one in history. I mean, insurrections involve lots of people dying and guns and governments falling and
buildings burning.
And, I mean, that's what insurrections involve. So if this was an insurrection, it was the worst one in history. And you could call it a riot. I mean, essentially, the crowd was out of control.
Peaceful riot.
Mostly peaceful. You can call it a riot. I mean, there were things that were broken. There were people going places they weren't supposed to go. There were some people who were injured. You could call this a riot. That seems probably more in line. But when you take this and you combine it with the fact that you have the ex-chairman of the FBI or the CIA, William Brennan, on... was it on CNN or MSNBC, where he was saying that the greatest threat to our nation is going to be white supremacist terrorists, and that we need to pay attention to, and he gave this whole laundry list of Trump supporters and libertarians was on this list. I mean, libertarians, really? the non-interventionists, the peaceful people who just want you to leave them alone. Libertarians are a threat to. That's like saying the Amish are a threat.
When they say those things, what I want to know is, tell me who's not a threat.
Right.
They never say that, and they never.
The only thing who's not a threat is them. I'm not a threat.
But how do you identify? Let's take it down that road. How do I identify who's not a threat? Who did you vote for? Obama and Biden. Okay, you're not a threat.
You're not a threat. Right.
What I find odd when you really look into it, it's not Democrats and Republicans. It's the elite versus everybody else.
So it's the people in control. Yeah.
So, but I'm talking about not so much someone that has control, like a Rachel Maddow she's leaving NBC, and thank God she can go play softball. But what I that's not funny. She's still part of the elite because she'll teach courses at Princeton or something.
She's controlled. She's controlled by, paid by, and completely subservient to that class. And essentially, I guess the thing that's frightening about all this is the average people don't understand that these people are using us. These people are not. They don't have our best interests in mind. They have only their best interests in mind. And as long as we serve a purpose for them, they're fine to continue using us. But as soon as we don't, they will discard us as quickly as anything, because we're meaningless to them. And that's just the unfortunate reality is you have kind of that wealthy class and that in the political class, and the majority of them feel that way. I mean, Chuck Schumer could give a rat's patootie about the rest of us. And he only cares about his constituents as long as they vote for him and give him power.
He strikes me as a person that washes his hands after he shakes your hand. Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work at the Ford plant. You.
Well, he actually, it takes a special kind of person to be able to, I hate to say lie like he does, but the man will completely contradict himself in 2 speeches and sees no problem with that. And he's not the only one. Mitch McConnell is the same guy. Right. Mitch McConnell, I mean, he could stand right in front of you and lie with no problem. These people are not. They don't have our best interests at heart.
Do you remember a long time ago? It wasn't on the show, but you had talked to me. Because we spent a lot of time talking about things, and I'm like, why don't I have other friends? But you had said to me, we were talking about the Epstein
because
list.
The conversation you had with me is so intellectually stimulating, you just can't get that anywhere else.
A lot of times what I'm doing is looking out the window, and I'm thinking of, like, birds. I never said that before, but that's the truth. So I said the Epstein Island. Why
are they angry birds?
They are. And I wish I had it on my phone when you're going on a diatribe. But when I said to you, why would all these famous people be around this shitbag person? And you said there's levels to this, and once you reach a certain level, the way I interpreted it was it's kind of like pain. There's different levels of pain. When you get to this pain tolerance, nothing bothers you. You want to feel something again. You explained it a different way, but that's the way I did.
Right. I mean, it's when everything. It's kind of that might have been the same conversation we were talking about Mary J. Blige, because what she said was you get to a point where everything is always available to you: sex, drugs, food, alcohol, whatever you want. It's there and it's available to you, and so none of it is enjoyable anymore, and so you have to go to farther extremes to continue to try to feel the same thing that you used to feel. So but I think that happens with all of them. I think that's why a guy like Epstein, who can offer all these perversions and things that average people think, ew, the reason that he is successful is because these people who have everything available to them are looking for something new and exciting, and it just becomes harder and harder to find.
But I think it goes back to why you can say 2 different things.
Right.
You don't mean either one of them.
You don't care. Neither.
You're addressing your audience.
Right.
Whatever I think you'd want to hear, because when you see them actually get... Rashida Tlaib was at an event to talk about the Green Initiative and all that, and a guy in the audience asked a question, and they started to pull him back. And he said, I want to know why you voted for these increasing amount of money sent to Ukraine when all we're doing is you're just killing people over there. It doesn't matter. She didn't answer. And the host of the panel was like, that's a question for a different time. When is the time? When are you going to get access again to be able to
The time is
sit there?
never.
But you see what I mean? Where she looked at the guy with didn't change expression, just looked at him almost like, so somebody will stop him from asking me. Mm-hmm. If you go back and see what she was saying before, we need to get out of these foreign wars. We need to do all that. You're voting for this. Bernie Sanders, the same thing. I do believe you get to this point of where you don't feel pain and it doesn't affect you. Mm-hmm. And you can't have any empathy for anybody underneath you because you're not there to make a change. You're bought and paid for. Which is, I think that's a simplistic way to look at it. But honestly, you have no more needs. So you can't care anymore. Right. That's my own take on it.
I don't think you're wrong about that. And I just think that that this whole January 6th inquiry, and again, I'm not saying that this was okay. The thing that happened,
I thought it was dumb.
It was kind of dumb, and we can't. First of all, we can't disrespect the Capitol building like that.
I don't know about that.
I'm not a big fan of that disrespect.
I'm not either.
And second of all, you can't just. I mean, what they did was illegal. Like it or not, it's illegal. And so, for that there should be some ramifications. But there are a lot of things that are coming out of it that I think are a little bit scary. And part of it is, and you hear President Biden saying over and over again, talking about white supremacist terrorists and all this kind of stuff. And that's what scares me about that is from a statistical standpoint, you can't back up these claims. You can't say that whites. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying there aren't somewhere white supremacist terrorists. I just don't see how you can look through the shootings and the bombings and the bad things that are happening in the U.S. and show me from a statistical standpoint that this is our biggest threat. You can't do it.
Right. But you can throw out those phrases, and it's going to stick.
You can have an anecdote. You can have one thing that happens that you can blow out of proportion. It's like every 5 years or 10 years, they start talking about shark attacks on the news, and all of a sudden everybody's afraid to go in the water. And then you find out that there aren't any more shark attacks than there ever are. It's just everybody's talking about it, right. So it's a big deal. So, that's the effect of propaganda. And so if they just keep saying these things that aren't statistically true, sooner or later and you can see it happening, people are beginning to believe these things that aren't objectively are not truth.
And that's where we're going to have to end it. We've run out of time. But 2024 is right around the corner. So everybody get your shark and meet me at the Capitol building. We'll see you next week.